No worries.
Hey everyone, welcome back to She Learns Podcast. Today I have Trisha Silverman as my guest. She is a dietitian and I'm trying
A
to
we-
get
a wellness coach.
dietitian, wellness coach, and a certified wellness coach and nutrition enthusiast. And so I'm so excited to interview her today. So can you tell our guest a little bit about you today?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on, Brooke. It's really a pleasure to be here. And give me 1 second here. I just noticed something in technology. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
There we go. All right. Thank you. I'm back. All right. So I'm a registered dietitian, a fitness instructor, and a wellness coach. And I am the author of Healthy Dividends. That's investments in nutrition, movement, and healthy habits that pay off. And I teach healthy aging and entrepreneurship at Northeastern University, where I'm also the faculty lead of the Masters in Applied Nutrition program and the graduate certificate in integrative health and wellness. And I'm just really excited to share what I know, and it's really an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, I'm super excited because I have a lot of questions. A
Great,
lot.
great.
I'm trying to be healthy. So what inspired you to write your book, Healthy Dividends?
I found that when I do a lot of wellness presentations, and I found that people come see me for 30 minutes or an hour and 15 or an hour and a half, and I can't get everything in that time. So it's to get a more in-depth look at nutrition, and the book is really a wellness guide. It's a resource that people can go back to again and again and just check into, oh, I'm going shopping and let me look for some shopping tips. Or if you're having trouble during coronavirus time with weight issues, let me look at some tips on weight management. And do you want to live a long life? There's a lot about eating healthy to get the dividends of living longer, of having less pain when you eat healthy, of losing weight if you're looking to manage weight. So I wrote it to just give people a little bit more than what they see in a presentation.
Yes, that's amazing. Cause when I was in the hospital, they was like asking me, like going into depth of what I eat and stuff. They was like, "Do you eat vegetables or anything?" I'm not even gonna lie to you. I did not start eating vegetables until like a few months ago. Ever since I've been on my own, I haven't been eating vegetables. Like when I was living with my mom and my grandma, they always made vegetables, always something green in the diet. And I did not do that when I got older. So I agree with you. Like whatever you eat, it does fall into your health and your mental health as well. And I did not know that at all.
That's so true. In fact, there's even more research now on food and mood than when I first learned about food and mood, 20, 25 years ago. And there's increasing evidence that your intestinal health is really important for your mood. And what leads to good intestinal health is eating plant-based food. So a lot of those vegetables, and you're not alone in saying that you weren't eating any, because 90% of the US are not getting enough vegetables. So we have a lot of work to do. And many times it's because of how we grew up and how vegetables might have been prepared for us. I remember my parents would make spinach that was in that frozen square, and it
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh, it was just kind of slimy, and the color of it was just awful. It wasn't appetizing. So I didn't really love spinach. And then when I got older, now I love it. I put it in my smoothies. I have it as a salad. I cook it up. It's just, I put it with eggs when we make eggs. It's just something I love. So a lot of times people think they don't like vegetables, but it might have been just the way they were prepared. Because we were, as humans, are meant to eat vegetables. It's just something we're meant to do. Every diet plan that's out there, all the popular fad diets, they still have you eating vegetables, and 'cause vegetables do work no matter what way you're trying to, if you're trying to lose weight. It they help. And I call leafy greens feel good foods because they have folate in them, and a deficiency of folate is associated with depression. So
Oh,
people do tend to feel a lot better when they eat more salads and more leafy greens.
oh, okay. I'm gonna take that in consideration because I do need to eat more salads because I don't at all. And you was right. This is a little bit off of my questions that I was gonna ask you, but my grandmother, she always prepared the like fresh vegetables. She would always prepare them and then she would freeze them. And I'm like, I don't know, but is that good to freeze vegetables like the fresh vegetables? It's good to freeze it.
So fresh is always best, and then frozen is my second choice, and then after that would be canned. So if you
Yeah.
can have them fresh, great. If you buy too much or you make a big batch and you freeze them for later, then that's fine. And then if you can them, that's fine too. You're still going to get nutrition out of all of them, but they're really best when they're fresh.
Fresh. Okay. I'm definitely going to add that to my list. So, can you tell our listeners a little bit about the book, such as the topics, like what chapters are in them and the topics?
Sure, sure. So in the book, lots of different topics. As I mentioned, I'm gonna just kind of quick flip through here because I have different tables and there's pictures in there. One of the
Mhm.
things I have in the book is a nutritious plate, and I literally put my name in there, Trisha, nutritious plate.
Oh, that's
And the plate is a diagram of what I found from looking at ways of eating across the world. So when you look at a healthy way to eat, what food groups to eat from, half of your plate should be vegetables. So if you take a plate and you divide by half, half vegetables and a quarter protein rich foods and a quarter carb rich foods, and then try to get 3 fruits a day and try to get some healthy fat in your diet. And that's what makes, and a quarter of the plate, I have a whole grain poster in the back here just pointing out whole grains. It's important to get a balance so that you get nutrients from each of the food groups. So that's one of the things that I emphasize in the book is nutritious way of eating. And then I talk about tips for shopping in the supermarket, additives and preservatives, which I think we should minimize as much as possible. One of the things that is a huge culprit for junky additives, gum. So some gums have almost every artificial sugar that's allowed in the country to be in here, and it's just not so great for us. Artificial sugars are associated with cancer in animals. They are in diet soda. There's been studies that diet soda is associated with stroke,
wow.
dementia, and heart attack. So it's one of those things to really minimize in the diet. And in that chapter where I talk about food additives, I talk about other additives like BHT, which is butylated hydroxytoluene. And it's an additive that's banned in the European Union, but we still use it here. And it's not so great for us. So if you see a name, you can't read it, just don't eat it. We want
Yeah.
to really be aware of what we're eating. And it's so great that we can just look up on our phones real quickly and learn about the ingredients that are in our foods. But in general, if it looks like a chemical name, and it probably is. And if it's just initials, we want to even be a little more skeptic. So I wrote about different ingredients in the book. And then I wrote about ways to live longer. And I put lots of stories in the book about some about my client, what I've learned from my clients, and other stories about people that I've met along the way. For instance, there's a woman named Elizabeth, and she lives in Connecticut, and she lost a lot of weight initially through a popular weight loss program, then through her own methods, and then she wrote a couple of books. And she noticed that when she lost all of her weight, and it was almost 100 pounds, she got to go off of all of her medications, and
Wow.
she saw less pain, and she wasn't breaking her. She was used to like break bones or like her toes a lot, and like all of that went away. And I do see that a lot with my own clients, that when they lose weight or make significant changes, they feel a lot better. I see pain go down, general mood going up. And when I work with people, it's not just nutrition, It's because I'm a coach too. I look at the whole person, and sometimes if they're coming to me to lose weight, it may not be all the nutrition that's the issue. It could be disorganization. So they could be very cluttered at home. And so many people, I can't tell you how many their exercise equipment is buried, or they haven't made a space in their home. There's no room to exercise. So that's one of the things that we talk about in our coaching sessions is, all right, where can you make a space to exercise or do yoga or do meditation? And when they start cleaning up and clearing out these spaces or their exercise equipment, they start to feel really, really good. So I talk about in the book healthy habits too, habits to get into and habits that can help to motivate you, such as breaking the ice on your exercise. And what that is, so many people with the exercise equipment, it's a good example. And one person stands out in my mind that she wanted to lose weight. And I asked if she could walk that night. She said, no. Okay. Tell me more. Why? She said, well, my treadmill is buried under all this stuff. So if I just would have heard no and not dug a little bit deeper and not listened to her, then the conversation might have gone in a different direction of me just telling her, well, you should exercise and this, and this. But her no wasn't because she didn't want to. It was because the treadmill was buried. So we made a goal for her to clean up her treadmill. So I was so excited that night because she sent me an email with a picture of a cleaned treadmill. And she said, now tomorrow I'm going to get on there for 10 minutes. So breaking the ice on your exercise is just getting on the treadmill or taking a 5-minute walk, just getting in that motion of doing that. Because if that treadmill or elliptical has been dormant for a year or more, and you say, well, I need to do an hour on that. No, you don't. Do 5 minutes to get back into that motion to make it. And then if you're on there and it feels good, stay on a little longer. But breaking the ice is just committing 5 minutes to trying something and then building upon that. So the book has a lot of tips on healthy habits like that, fitness habits, meditation. I talk about resources like Insight Timer, which is one of my favorite resources. It's a free meditation app that the meditations during this coronavirus time are so helpful. So if you need more strength or you are lonely, you have loneliness, you can put these words in the search bar and then you'll get meditations to help you. So I've searched strength, recently focus, and those just listening to meditation, I felt strength that day. I felt more focused the rest of the other day when I put the focus meditation on. So I have a lot of resources in the book that you can go to that can help you out.
That's amazing. And what was the app again?
I'm sorry?
That's amazing. What was the app again?
Oh, so that app is Insight Timer, INSIGHT Timer, TIMER. And you can go, if you don't have an iPhone or, you don't have apps, you can just go to the website for Insight Timer. And there's one meditation that's fun called Mind Vacation. And the person leading the meditation takes you on a trip to the beach. And you can close your eyes and hear the birds and feel like you're on the sand. I mean, who doesn't want that?
That's amazing. So what do you love most about being a wellness student?
Well, I love to help people. I love to learn about nutrition and read research and then turn it into easy messages and easy things that people can do to impact their health. So I love to help people. And my mission is really to serve and to help people to feel better. And I think to feel better, it comes down to eating healthier food.
That's amazing. Wow, I really need to. Like, I feel like this is an eye-opening, like, awakening moment for me because I really need to. Because I'm starting a new job tomorrow and it's walking 10 miles. And I'm way too big for that, but I'm definitely going to try to do it. But I really need to I really need to get my diet down because I do not eat healthy at all. I don't eat 3 meals a day. I rarely eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch. I just skip right to dinner, and it's like all day until like 12 o'clock in the morning I'm eating. And I agree with you. Definitely need to stick to a plan.
So you might want to roll back that first time you eat just a little bit at first. So maybe if you start to eat at what time are you eating right now, the start time?
The start time I'm eating after this, it'll be like 5 o'clock p.m.
5 o'clock. So you might want to kind of roll that back a bit because it just sounds to me like you've adjusted your eating to between like 5 and 12. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're eating like a 7 out during 7 hours.
Yeah.
So we just want to adjust those 7 hours back a bit so that you're not eating so, late and close to bedtime. And it may be like maybe you just start by doing a lunch. And then, maybe if you adjust to that, then maybe you bring it back a little bit earlier. Or everyone's so unique that you just, you want to find out what works best for you. But if you're just grazing completely through that time, and, when people graze, they tend not to graze on salad and broccoli. It's like crackers and chips and like little finger foods that are just easy. And
Yeah.
so you make more established meal times that, can help you to take in the different food groups so that you can have, a great, like a rice. And then, if you think of the plate that I mentioned, so rice would be a quarter of your plate, and let's say beans, another quarter of your plate, and then half your plate vegetables. So maybe it's spinach and it's a rice, bean, and spinach meal. And that's your meal. So if you just kind of, to simplify things, think of like food groups that you want to eat from the different food groups. And, when you think of like a cookie, what food group does that come from? Doesn't really come from one. So if you can't nail it into a food group, it probably is something that, we should minimize in the diet. And we used to say there's an 80-20 rule, like 80% healthy, 20% not so healthy. The new dietary guidelines that just came out, they mention to eat 85% healthy, 15% maybe, not so healthy. So it's something to think about in, how you're eating. So 85% should really come from those food groups. And then 15%, could be some of those things that are a little less than healthy. But the more we have nutritious foods, the better off we're going to perform. If you're starting a new job, that requires energy and mental energy. So if you go to work and you're not eating anything, then you're not fueling your brain well, and your brain runs on glucose. So, when we talk about that, the healthy whole grains, an example would be, some oatmeal in the morning. And then if you were to do some Greek yogurt, for example, can give you some protein. Or if some people don't tolerate dairy so well, so then maybe you can put some nut butter with your oats, or maybe you can have an egg in the morning with a slice of whole grain toast with maybe some avocado on it, and then some fruit on the side. And that would, then you're hitting your different food groups with that to really energize yourself. And in the toast, in the oats, you're getting carbohydrates, healthy forms of carb that can give you that glucose to feel good. And when you eat things like whole grains and oatmeal, it helps you to produce serotonin, as does getting protein in, because the protein turns into serotonin, but the carbs help in the process and help to boost serotonin, which makes you feel good. So with starting, a new job, really rolling back, that 7 or 8 hours when you do eat, if you can push that back to when you need the energy. You don't need it right before bed at 12 a.m. because you're going to bed. You don't need the energy to fuel your sleep, but you need energy for your body to get through the day. So it's just a little bit of restructuring to think about, and it doesn't have to be done all at once. So maybe it's like you start working with 12 o'clock that's going to be your, that first meal, and then eat from the food groups. But
Oh,
starting a new job may be a new way to, think about starting new things with your eating. And because you're starting a new job, your sleep schedule is really important too. If people don't get enough sleep, it tends to boost your cravings. So
yeah.
then you're craving junky foods, and if you're not getting enough sleep, it can also impact your blood sugar control. So if you have diabetes, not getting enough sleep is one of the, one of the worst things that we can do, because we want to have optimal blood sugar control. So if any of your listeners have, diabetes out there, a lot of times doctors don't mention the importance of sleep. So if you, rolled back your eating a little earlier, it could just really make you feel good and ready for the challenges of the day.
Yes, that's amazing. Because I I don't eat healthy. Like I did change and start eating wheat bread instead of white bread because white bread has a lot of sugar in it and wheat bread doesn't. So I did change that. And I don't drink any sodas at all. I drink water and sometimes juice. But yes, you're right. You're right. I really do need to change because I do. Can I eat? Would you suggest eating cream of wheat too? Because I like cream of wheat.
If you
Is
can
that good?
find one that's a whole grain, so one of the things that you want to look for when buying a whole grain is the keyword whole.
Oh,
So when I'm going to show you let me show you the poster here. When you buy a grain, a whole grain,
hmm.
there's an outer layer called the bran, and then there's an area here called the germ, and
Oh,
then the endosperm. The outer layer called the bran, that has a lot of fiber in it. It also has B vitamins that are important for turning your food into energy. And then the germ area right here has vitamin E, really good for cognition. And then this area right here, the white starchy stuff, that doesn't have a lot of nutrition. So what you want to do is get the benefit of all three pieces of the grain so that you get all the health benefits. If you just get that white bread that you mentioned, or like crackers, like these kind of crackers, or bagels, you're not getting the benefit of the whole grain. And to
oh,
know that it's the whole grain, we want to look for the keyword in the ingredient label. So if you're looking, here's an example for wheat. It says whole
uh-huh.
grain rolled oats. So the key word we're looking for is whole. So in that bread, you want it to say whole wheat in the label.
Hmm.
One of the examples that I like to share with people is Dave's super seed bread. And that's one that's available across the country. It's in Walmart. That's a decent brand to look for. But organic breads can be really, really helpful. There's a lot of times store brand breads that are more natural to look for. And
Yeah.
you don't want a really long ingredient list because there's a lot of junky additives that can be added to bread.
Okay, okay. Because I know a white bread it has a lot of sugar in it. Because I get a lot of gnats sometimes in my apartment, and they always go for the white bread. If I buy wheat bread, they don't even touch the wheat bread at all.
Wow.
Like they don't even go in there. But white bread, as soon as I buy white bread, it's like 50 of them in there. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that has
that's
a lot of sugar in
interesting.
it. I
Very
didn't know
interesting.
I didn't know it had a lot of sugar in it until I saw a bunch of gnats in there, and I was like,
Even
but
some of the whole wheat ones can have it too. So that's when it's good to look at the label. And the new food label has an area for added sugar. So if you see that it has every 4 grams of added sugar equals a teaspoon of sugar.
oh
So
wow.
it's just something to be aware of. And I have an example. So here's like a raisin bran, and if you look at the food label, you'll
Hmm.
see it says 12 grams of sugar,
Hmm.
includes 6 grams of added sugar.
Oh wow.
And the added sugar, you take the grams, divide by 4 to get teaspoons. 6 divided by 4 is 1.5. So there's 1.5 teaspoons of sugar in the box. And, that's not terrible, but the American Heart Association says the limit should be 6 for women a day of added teaspoons of sugar and 9 for men. The image is flipping up here, so it's like what I'm holding up isn't really what I'm holding up. But anyway, 9 for men and 6 for women. As a dietitian, I feel that's even a little bit much. So you might want to think about lowering it even from there if possible. But I'm glad you clued in on that. There is sugar added to many breads, so it's something to look into.
Yes, definitely. So when you do your wellness speaking, what do you want your audience to remember of your presentation?
I want them to remember easy tips, so sort of large scale tips when they walk away. So you see I have in the background here the rainbow poster, and the rainbow poster is a reminder to eat the rainbow. So try to get in lots of different colors of fruits and vegetables. Really important to do that. So it's the large concepts rather than worrying about, oh, what was that? You said BH, what? Well, just rather than that, just read your labels. And if you can't read it, don't eat it. So, like larger concepts and just really get into more natural foods, getting back to the basics, the fruits and the vegetables, what your grandma and your mom told you to eat. So it's really truly is. They were right. And it's that family wisdom that's been passed down for generations. And that's what we want to listen to, eat healthy foods and, really limit the junk food.
Mm-hmm. They definitely do eat a lot of vegetables. My mom and my grandma, they do, but they also eat a lot of fried foods, and I don't like fried foods, but they do. But I do have a question. This is outside of the questions I was going to ask you, but about fruit. What do you suggest would be a good fruit to eat?
So it's such a good question. A variety of fruit is the answer, and try to get different colors of fruit, different types of fruit. So if you told me you ate an apple and banana every day, well, that's great because many people aren't eating enough fruit. But can you get in berries and cherries and citrus and bananas and apples and oranges and just mangoes? Try to get a variety of fruits in, so different colors and different types of fruit, and try to get 3 fruits a day. And by 3 fruits, what serving size, you can think of that as a small to medium piece or a half cup of fruit. So, I'm not asking people to eat tons of fruit, but definitely get fruit in. I know with popular diets like the keto diet, they really discourage fruit, and that's doing people a disservice.
That's terrible. Wow. I didn't know that the keto diet does that. I don't follow that diet because I thought one day I did try that diet and I passed out and fainted. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that one. But
Yeah, it's not so healthy for you.
yeah, because in my blood sugar, I need to get tested for my blood sugar because if I don't have sugar a day, then I do get faint, like I pass out. And I don't know if that's a really big problem, but my mom is like, you really need to go see about that. You need to go see a dietitian and
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's great to sit down with, especially when people have blood sugar issues, the dietitian is the right health professional to go see, to sit down with them and have them go through, what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat, what your day looks like. And that's when it really is important to eat throughout the day. Have meal, like equally divided meal periods throughout the day can be really helpful. Then not eating in between those, and then having some protein, carbs, and healthy fat at each meal and snack to keep you fully energized would be great, and to help control the blood sugar levels. Then if you measure your blood sugar levels, you kind of get to know which foods for you may spike it up a little bit. And it's individual for many people.
Yes, I agree. So when you give presentations, what is, I mean, What do you fear the most about giving presentations?
What do I like the most?
What do you fear the most?
Oh, fear. I'm sorry, fear the most. So, what I fear the most is not telling the audience something that I plan to tell them, or not having enough time because I want to share like so much. And I'm off the screen. I want to share so much that you can't even see my hands. But time is often this much, and it's trying to get in the key points that I think will be helpful. And that is, going back to why I wrote the book. There's so much more to say, but I have groups that hire me for 30 minutes, and I respect that, and I do what I can in 30 minutes. But if you try to cram everything in, it's too much, or if you try to go too fast. So for me, what I fear most is like leaving something out that could really help someone.
Yes, yes, I agree. So, what inspired you to become a wellness speaker?
I think, when I look back, my mom had health magazines lying around the house, and that was very inspiring. And then I found over time that I like the energy of a lot of people in the room. So I like to share healthy information to groups. It just feels good because there's that energy in the room. And I do find it even with online presentations, you can feel the energy and interact with people through the chat, and it feels good to be amongst a lot of people. So although COVID has been tough, I can't feel that energy in the room, but that is, I love to share with people, to learn, and then to share that information. But people like Richard Simmons and Jane Fonda were very inspiring when I was younger. And of course, Oprah works with Deepak Chopra, and they have a meditation program where they help people. So they've been very inspiring, and various motivational speakers throughout the years. And I've listened to many dietitians. So I just, want to help people. And it's good to be able to be, when I need more motivation, I just listen to other motivators, and that really has helped me.
That's amazing. Because I, since COVID, I've gained a lot of weight. Like I went from 170 to like close to 200, and that's not good for me at all, especially being my height. So I definitely agree with you there. Like I really need to take control of your health and your diet and taking care of yourself. So I agree with you. Um, what are some of the most rewarding coaching experience you've had as a dietitian?
I've had so many rewarding experiences. It's so nice when people have aha moments, and when they get really excited, and you can feel as they change their eating habits how happier they become when they've figured out what was holding them back. And I what I do is really provide not only advice, but it's really listening ears,
Yeah.
and it's accountability, and it feels good to be able to listen to people and give them that time, because now when you talk to your family, friends, everyone's checking their phone. When
Yes.
I'm listening to you, I'm listening to you. I'm not checking my phone. My brain isn't somewhere else. It's a time where you're being listened to. So enjoy giving people that gift. And then when they get that gift, you can tell they feel really happy to have been listened to. And then to have someone not only listen, but really help them work, I work together with them to come up with the plan. So I can tell you eat this, this, and this, but if you don't like those things that I'm telling you to eat, or if it's not going to work with your lifestyle, then it's not going to work. But when I work with clients, it's what are you willing to do? And we work together to figure that out. And they may have something that, like, I'm not going to give up X. I'm like, that's fine. There's so many other things we can work on, and let's work on that. And one of the things that you had mentioned about gaining weight during the time of COVID, you're not alone. So many people have, because our habits have changed so much. We're at home. But if you are looking to lose weight, it is good to find someone, and it doesn't have to be someone you pay. It could be a friend, a family member, but it could also be a dietitian, a coach, a personal trainer. And they're just go on Instagram, right? We were talking about Instagram earlier. There's so many coaches available. So having that accountability to someone can be really, really helpful. And it's just about never giving up, keeping on trying to figure out what are all the puzzle pieces for wellness for you. Everyone I look at as a different puzzle. And
Yes.
some people need to work on, the timing of the meals, or sleeping more, or decluttering their homes to help with their wellness. And, other people are drinking too much alcohol, or it's just too much junk food. So it's different for everyone. And it's just finding what will work well for each individual person.
Yeah. My problem is I overeat. Like, even if it's healthy stuff, I will overeat it, especially if it's those fiber snacks. I've tried to eat the fiber snacks, and I try to eat them once a day, but I'll overeat all 6 a day, and that's not good. Or 7. I'll eat the whole box a day, and I'm
And
just like, I gotta change. I can't keep doing that because I think I eat out of stress, and I think that's why I'm gaining so much weight. And
and
that's something I definitely need to change too.
and that's where, for the stress and the overeating, like you've explained, there's a lot of different things that can go into that. So one is that those fiber snacks, I've looked at a lot of them. People have brought in like the Fiber One snacks that I've looked
Yeah.
at, and there are other snacks out there. When you look at the ingredients, if even though there's fiber, there may be sugar, and that sugar tastes so good. And even though it's a fiber brownie, it's still a brownie in the end. And
Yeah.
brownies are the type of foods that tend to, if they have a lot of sugar, it makes people want to eat more of them.
Mhm.
So if there's a food that you find that you eat too much of, keep that one out of the house. And if you love it, maybe every once in a while get it. But
Mhm.
if it's, getting in your way of your wellness, that's something not to buy. Even though it may work for a neighbor or a friend, it doesn't work for you. And that's okay. That's fine. It just doesn't work for you. Some people are very sensitive to sugar, and
Mhm.
minimizing the sugar in the diet can really help them out, especially coronavirus times when we're all at home more, trying to keep the junky stuff out. And then if you do want a brownie, go get a brownie at a bakery once a week and
Yeah.
enjoy every bite rather than eating 6 of the junky ones, you
Mhm.
know? So
Yeah.
that's a different way to think. Like, it's not that I can't ever have it, I just can't have it all at once.
Mhm.
And then thinking about, ending a meal with tea, that helps me a lot because, it is a time of stress where we may feel our appetites are going up a little bit more. And if you're stressed, then what can you do instead? Maybe not spend so much time in the kitchen, end a
Yes.
meal with a cue like tea so that my meal is done. I'm done eating now. And then be done until the next meal. And it takes 20 to 30 minutes to feel full. And
Mhm.
sometimes we keep eating because we're not feeling full yet, but we need to eat a reasonable sized meal and then be done and be gently satisfied rather than overly full. And that
Mhm.
seems to be a big key. Um, that's one thing I learned from studying about the Okinawan culture. They do something called harahachi bu, and that's eating to your 80% full. And that means leaving a little room in the belly so that we don't have to be, in our culture in the US, we push people way beyond their point of fullness with all the food that's always available and supersizing these value meals. It's like you can get all this food for $1. Why not?
Yeah.
But it's working against our health.
Mhm.
So, the emotional eating, yoga can also help with tuning and meditation, tuning into your body more. When we overeat, we're kind of using that to check out. So we have to find other ways to kind of tune more into our bodies.
I agree. I agree. I'm definitely gonna do that. So what do you in an initial nutrition coaching session with the new patient? Oh, what do you do?
So what I do is I send them a questionnaire beforehand. And if they don't want to fill that out, then we go over that questionnaire during when I meet with them. And then I will do a 24-hour recall. So I'll find out, what did you eat over the last 24 hours? If we're meeting at night, like, what did you eat to, the whole day today? And then we talk about what their goals are, and then we set a vision for where they want to be, whether it's 10 weeks from now, 3 months from now, where do you want to be? So maybe someone wants to lose 10 pounds, and then we say, okay, so 3 months from now, so if we're now in April, let's say, by July, mid-July, I want to lose 10 pounds, and I want to be exercising 5 days a week, doing cardio, 2 days a week, doing strength training. And I want to go on date nights with my partner more. And I want to, take up a new hobby. And then, so that's the vision of where you want to be. Then we set goals to get there. So are you going to log your food? Are you going to follow a meal plan? How are we going to get you to that vision? And that's up to you. A lot of my clients have had great success with apps like Lose It or MyFitnessPal, where they log their food. Other clients want more of a meal plan, where they're told what to eat at each time. And that's often when people have diabetes or blood sugar issues and see dietitians, they'll put them on a meal plan, telling you what food groups to eat from at breakfast, what food groups to eat from at a snack, at lunch, at dinner. And that can be really helpful. But where my coach training has helped me, when I work with clients, it's what they're willing to do. So we work together on that. If they're not willing to do something, we find something else that will work for them. And a lot of it's just really mindset and helping to change their mindset through listening with them, and then, offering bits of advice and guidance to help move them toward that vision.
That's good. So do you work with clients out of town, like that don't live in your state? You do?
I do.
Okay. Okay.
Yep,
And
I
we
do a
can
lot.
book and we can book on your website at that I link
Yeah,
up.
you just contact me through the website, and then, we talk about the fees and talk about, when's a good time to set this up. And, I share a little bit more about what I do. And I coach people all over the US and in Canada.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna set up an appointment because I need to eat do better because I'm getting fat. Like I don't like it. But I'm
And like
getting
I said, you're not alone. So, there's definitely no shame in that, because coronavirus is a tough time for sure.
So, how do you manage a patient who is refusing to follow? I mean, not patient, a client who is refusing to follow your recommended diet and nutrition advice?
It's the big thing is using my ears and listening to what's going on, what's working and what's not working. And then to, come up with the plan for what they can do. And sometimes it's really simplifying things. So if we set up a list of goals during the first meeting and they were having trouble with that, then we reassess. Maybe it was too many goals. Maybe have them work on one thing that they think will help them. And sometimes that one thing can be focusing on their water. It can be that simple, focusing on, water for the week, that they get enough water. For many people, once they focus on that water, everything else falls into place. But everyone's different. It's different for everyone. And maybe just focusing on the vegetables at lunch and dinner. Maybe just focusing on eating a breakfast. It's really different and very individual.
So, how much water should someone drink each day? Because
And it's
I used
really
to drink a lot of water each day, but I haven't been doing it at all.
It's a really great question. The National Academy of Sciences recommends 9 cups for women of fluids and 13 cups a day for men. And it includes all fluids, but we really want most of those fluids to be from water. So water's nature's beverage. And if you're having any issues with constipation, I find it's either a lack of water or lack of fiber, or oftentimes both. So that's something that I go over with my clients. Now, if people aren't getting the 9 cups, I work with them to get up closer to that point.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, what are some good sources of protein?
Yeah, so great question. Some of my favorite sources are beans, and the other is fish.
Fish.
And
Okay.
yeah, so what I
So
love about
I can eat those right there. I thought those were bad because
no,
I've been
like I
eating those.
mentioned, fresh is best for sure. What I
Uh-huh.
like about this one is that it's wild caught and 25% less sodium because there is often a lot of sodium that can be added to canned foods. And then here's some salmon. I have different kind, like here I have another one here. This one is no salt added. I just found that recently. And you can see right there, it's at the top there, 21 grams of protein, which is really, fantastic for 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 a serving of fish. Um, so fish and beans are my favorite sources because they are packed with nutrients. When you have beans, you want to combine them with some type of grain and have that grain, either with them or at some other point during the day so that it makes a complete protein. And then chicken and turkey, the Greek yogurt that I mentioned, and I mentioned that because at breakfast time, it's a great way to get in some, good source of protein. 23 grams in a cup is really awesome. And then we want to limit the red meat in the diet because that's associated with earlier mortality. And we want to decrease saturated fat, which is in the, red meat and full fat dairy products. It's just not so great for our heart, for our brains, for our immune system, for a well functioning body. It unsaturated fats are what we want to look for. So we want to be eating more nuts and seeds and olive oil or extra virgin olive oil and avocados, for example.
Okay. I love avocados. I love them. I would eat them straight, like just cut it up and eat it like that. But yeah, I love avocados.
They're awesome.
What helps with a poor appetite?
Yeah, so if you're having a poor appetite, it's really good to check in with the doctor to see why. And, during coronavirus times, that um, it could be mental or it could be physical. Mental, if we think about depression that can come about, mood changes because of, being isolated. So what could affect your appetite could be that you're just not feeling so great.
Right.
Mentally with what's going on with coronavirus. It could be something physical too. It could be the medications that you're on and the interactions between medications or food and drug interactions. So it's good or it could be, a physical illness. So it's good to talk to your doctor. And I strongly believe that physical and mental issues are interrelated. So it could be a combination of things going on. So ways to increase appetite could be to make your food more appetizing. So adding spices to your food, making your food pop. So like when you look at it, it's colorful. So that if you came over and I said, "Here, Brooke," and I served you a dinner, and it was red salmon with red grapes on a plate and a sweet potato, it wouldn't look so appetizing because it's all in that kind of reddish orange color spectrum. And if I put it on a red plate, it would just kind of all blend together. So if we want to make things pop, if you put things on a white plate and then you had a green vegetable and you had that salmon and then maybe you had a purple potato, which would be like a wow factor, and and it's colorful, that's going to make you more attracted to eating that. That's why food colorants are added to food to make it look better. But I'd rather you pair your food together, natural food, to make it more attractive. If people don't have an appetite, it's important to think about getting enough protein in. Sometimes, if nothing else works, protein supplements may be recommended. But if people need to add more food because they're, let's say, underweight or don't have an appetite, ways to bump up calories could be adding condiments like mayonnaise, having more smoothies, adding protein powder to, to smoothies. So, the nut butters have a lot of calories in a small amount of food. So nuts and nut butters, dried fruit can be ways to get more calories in if people aren't getting enough calories in. But it's a combination of is it appetite? Is it just not getting enough food in? What's causing it? So it's teasing out a lot of different factors, and that's where a doctor working with the dietitian, having a team to help the person figure out what's going on. It could be very serious, or it may not be a reason why someone might be not having an appetite. But when people get depressed, it's often they overeat or undereat, and people are just different with how they are with that.
I definitely overeat.
And
So to close it out, we want to know, well, our listeners, what, in your opinion, should a person eat before a workout, and what should they eat before the workout? Should they eat before and after, or like, what would be your opinion?
it depends on what type of workout they're having, but in general, before a workout, getting a good source of carbohydrates and some protein in. After workouts, particularly after strength workouts, getting your protein in seems to be very helpful for building muscles. So trying to, after you eat, can you get some chicken or fish or turkey in, along with some carb, can be really helpful. But before the workout, like a little higher percentage of carb can be helpful to give you that energy to get through your workout.
Okay. I'm definitely going to do that once I start working out. I want to thank you so much for coming on my show and allowing me to interview you and talk about nutrition. Well, yeah, nutrition.
Thank
Thank
you so much. This has been such an honor, Brooke. I really appreciate it. It's such a pleasure to speak with you.
you. Have a great day, Tisha.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's ending, but it's going slow.